Sky Squad, we are back in the building and we got a little bit of Real Housewives of Atlanta tea that is simmering, boiling over. Okay. We actually got some clues already, but let's just go ahead and dive in. So, you guys know that the good Cynthia Bailey is, you know, on the divorce path, single, ready to mingle, looking for love, as we talked about as a result of her interview with Carlos King on Carlos King's podcast. And so, as a result, she is now spending a lot more time at Lake Bailey, which leaves a lot more time for her to go and play with the girls from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, for those of you guys who may have missed it, here she is, and this is from Housewives of ATL on Instagram. They say, "Congrats to my girl Candy on her 10-year mark for Bedroom Candy. She's having an event at her pop up Bedroom Candy Picture Museum. And looks like my girl Cynthia is in the building. Could this be the finale event of the season? Cynthia, please come back. We need the veterans to return." Okay. So, as you guys can see, Candy did respond to the post. Beautiful post right here. And I love that Housewives of ATL put Cynthia, please come back. We need the veterans to return. And you see Cynthia here pictured with Kenya Moore, giving her a kiss on the cheek, as Cynthia Bailey was definitely in attendance at this event. Well, it looks as though, based on a new report from Cynthia Bailey's lips herself, she did an interview with our friends over at Suave Magazine. Now, this interview just came out, and in it, she admits that, well, reveals that she is back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta in a friend capacity for season 15 and potentially beyond. Oh, yes, it is late in the game. She does admit, but she does give the affirmative that she has returned to play with the girls. And typically when people say play with the girls or play with this person or that person, that means they'll come on a show and do a little something something, have a little good time and then dip out without having to be fully committed to being a full-time or a series regular. So that's what that kind of means by, when we use that term in the entertainment industry, play around, play with y'all, that's what that means. And so she does indicate that she will be playing around with the girls. She's already popped up at a few events, and that she really got the bug from being at BravoCon. She realized how many people, really loved her and really wanted her back on Housewives. And so now here she is. Now, we talked about it earlier, how she told Carlos King that at the time she did not want to do Housewives because she was offered a friend contract. And at that time, for her, it would have meant that she would have had to be there all the time. Now, I'm not necessarily sure what's changed, unless maybe, it just happened to be that, something was offered, given that now she was going to be back in the Atlanta area a bit more. I do know that she is still heavily pursuing her acting career, but that can also be done from Atlanta as well. So this is exciting news. And let me tell you guys why. So, for me, especially given the amount of time that Cynthia Bailey has been off of the show, and then sort of listening to the podcast with Carlos King, and then listening to this interview with my boy Rashad over at Suave Magazine, it kind of becomes evident that Cynthia Bailey is someone that can pull all the ladies together, okay, and get the ladies all on one accord. Now, for me, this is my thing, though. And this is no offense to Sharice from Potomac. But if you're going to bring an OG back, I do need that OG to be doing something. I don't need them to be ornamental. I need them to be instrumental. Okay. And so I feel like if Cynthia is going to come back and not just sort of hang around in the background and actually, put her foot in the series and put her foot in the thick of things, I do feel like then we could have a justified reason to continue to bring her back and continue to tell more of her story because as it happens, her story has shifted quite dramatically. And so it would be interesting to see Cynthia Bailey back in the mix with this group of ladies. Do you guys think that this is a smart move? I wonder, to me, the questions that I had was, are you being paid in the official friend capacity? Not that I'm trying to be up in her bag, but I do want to know, is it official that you are a friend? Or are you just filming with the ladies? That needs to be made clear. Did they offer you another friend contract? What was the reason that this time it was more amenable for you to go back to the show, whereas before it was a decision where you decided against doing it because you didn't have the time commitment to do so? But I also think it was that she did say on the Carlos King podcast that she wanted to really discover her marriage and really not have to do that on television. And so maybe now that she's out of that, she didn't have that priority anymore. So now she has the time to actually go and play with the girls. Another thing she said in this interview was interesting is that I think that she may have scaled back on a lot of her business endeavors in order to be more faithful to pursuing her acting career. She talks about living a simpler life and getting rid of some of those business endeavors that were taking up so much of her time, which I also thought was very interesting as well. It's a very, very good interview. They do talk a lot about her experience with Seagrams and how she's been able to build that relationship over the course of time. I just found it refreshing. Cynthia, to me, was refreshing in this interview. Something else that I wanted to point out to you guys, I want to know what your thoughts are about Cynthia's return to Housewives. I want to know, are you excited about it? How do you feel? Like, what's the tea for you? Does this move you? Does it make you more excited about the new season? I'm excited. I mean, I'm always excited when an OG comes back, and especially if it's an OG that we all like. Okay. Um, I do want to point out something else that I did happen to see on the gram. Your girl Drew Sidora pictured here with none other than Latoya Ali. And as I think about it, I think about, Carlos King wrote this in the comment section. He said, could have been the Kenya and Portia of the new era. And it had gotten 230 likes. And I often wonder if maybe Latoya was one of those characters who is gone too soon. Yes, I felt like she was a little bit off the rails in terms of her time on the show, but when you watch her YouTube and you see her YouTube, I see a much calmer person. I think there's still a lot of personality there, but I do think that she wasn't given enough time and enough room to tell her story for her to justify being gone so quickly. But that's just my opinion. It would have been interesting to see this dynamic further, move further into whatever it was going to be. Because unless Sanya really is bringing it this season, my preference would have been to continue forward with Latoya and maybe have Sanya. I still want her to work, so maybe have her go and do some stuff, in the sports, commentary or other business endeavors. Again, I want to see her still working. I ain't trying to take no dollars out of nobody's accounts, but there's something about this dynamic that I think could have been something very kinetic. And so I wonder if there's a missed opportunity here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button. All links will be placed in the description of this video, and I will catch you in the next one.